Hi, this is Jeff Allen, and today I would like to be giving a seminar on the keys and successfully planning and for passing ISO 9001 audits and certification. This is for the ProZ virtual conference series for 2012. And my background specifically for this is that I have helped two software companies, major software companies over the past 10 years, become fully ISO 9000 certified and recertified after 3 years each. I've also helped another translation software and services company in their ISO 9000 kind of flow and getting certified, as well as giving advice and counsel on the other translation services or the European Translation Services Standard, and have helped another company become ISO compliant in a translation services and software company as well. So I've got a lot of experience in this. I want to share today how you can do this as a translation agency and also as a translation supplier. That can be a freelancer, and how you fit within that certification, and what are the essentials and all of that. So let's kind of come down to the main point here. And what I want to hear is the learning goals out of this session, really at the end of this section of this module. Understand the basic ISO 9000 principles, and this applies to other types of certifications as well. But I just want to start here with ISO 9000. Secondly, know what to plan for in the ISO internal audits and external audits. Okay. And thirdly, what are the real benefits of this type of certification? And those benefits can be personal for you, they can be for your project, they can be for your team, they can be for your company. And that company is an individual translation service provider, or as the company translation services company, etc. Okay? So how do you really see, what do you perceive ISO 9000? Do you perceive that as some kind of list of rules? You're handcuffed, and you have to do this in a certain way. It's policing. Do you see it that way? Or do you see it as something that you can actually decide how you're going to go do it, how you're going to show it? And my experience in working with a lot of teams is that they seem to see the first one. And what I've done in my part of my career where I've worked on this is help teams to really understand it can be the second. And you can really decide, and you can own it and adopt it and really make it beneficial for you. Okay? So how is that done? Well, ISO 9000 is simply a quality management system. So we have the slide right here. And really all that is a framework. Okay? It's really not anything more than a number of building blocks that you're just setting up. It's like a house. You're building these blocks. And you're showing the relationships between those blocks. And that's a system. Okay? It's nothing more complicated than that. And then you have some principles, some guidelines that help, they're guiding the building blocks to work together on the same goal. Okay, and we have that picture of the kind of the horizon here. What's the goal? Where are we going toward? And that's the management part of it. And what we need to do is focus on maintaining quality and improving quality. Okay, it's not that complicated. I think that many people make it more complicated than it really is. Second point here is that ISO 9000, a certification of this quality management system, is just a management system that complies with with about 250 requirements that are defined in a document that's the international standard. Now, in my experience, and when I've given training courses on ISO 1000, working with people that have not been gone through the coaching process, and in those training courses, I have people that have been in the previous certifications with me. I've asked those trainees if I had pulled out and shown the 250 requirements, and the customer testimony was always no. So the goal is not to spend time trying to memorize or learn 250 points. It's just learning what are the general principles and making sure that just what we do in in the auditing process, or actually doing the work, and then becoming audited of it, just it complies with those 250 principles. And I usually say that these points, these guiding principles, are simply common sense. It's just good common sense for solution providers, software providers, service providers in a workflow, and it's nothing more than that. And if you see this some heavy paperwork, bureaucracy, then you've just unfortunately had a bad experience and not having it in a paperless environment. And that's what I've tried to deploy and work with in the companies that I've done this on. So I want to share this with you, how to make it interesting and not too of this bureaucracy paperwork approach. So what are the overall concepts here? Okay, if you look at the following listed points here that I've got on the PowerPoint, and are you able to figure out how these items really relate to each other? And what I've got is handlebars, forks, and chain, pedals, wheel, derailleur, brake, etc. Okay? Well, how do they relate to each other? Those are all just a bunch of items. Well, if you come to here now, if I show you a picture of a bike, then it gives you a better idea of the framework. Of course, there's the word frame too, but the framework of how these items work together. And in this picture, actually, we have that they're all named out. And if you ride a bike, you know that you have to go ahead and pedal with the chain, and that makes the chain go around, which propulses the bike and makes the wheels move. And you know how those things work together. Okay, so that's really what the whole auditing process is looking for, is just how do they work together? How do these individual items work together? Let give me I want to go to the next slide, which gives you more kind of another analogy, which I think is very pertinent. And I've used this in many of the auditing coaching I've done. Okay, so we've got a picture of a concert here. All right, right next to the video, and I believe that we could say, well, what is ISO9001? Well, a rock concert, which if you go to them, a lot of people go to them, or even just you don't have to be a rock concert. That's an example here. It can be an orchestra or really classical concert, whatever. It's a quality product and a quality service, and that is the fruit of a process. It is not just some magical thing that happens. There has been a lot of elements and items coming together for that final concert to provide a quality product and quality service, just like translation, exactly the same thing. Well, what if we did an ISO 9000 audit of that concert, where actually the elements coming up to the concert? What would we find? Well, I've got here a number of points on this page and the following page, which I've tried to bring in at a team level to understand how we would audit it. So we first had the band, which is a team of 10, okay, and an agile or lean or scrum-based or smaller teams. You have a team of 10 working together. They all have their roles, and each one is doing their role, but they can be interchangeable and doing different. But in the band, you usually have people that play one or two instruments, and they can interchange, and singers, they're doing things, but they know their roles, and they know their responsibilities, and they are all doing that for the whole, okay? Secondly, they have requirements gathering, and if you've worked in a band, and I play in several bands, you receive and process the concert request, usually by email or a phone call. You take down notes, and you're actually processing. Then you're gathering those. You're trying to qualify that concert. Can we get it? Do we have the people? And that's and you're trying to qualify to the needs, specifically what type of styles and all that. Okay, and I'm not going to go into all the details, but there's a negotiation process. Okay, there's also some planning and organization, and that can mean doing regular rehearsals in a studio together. You need to make and distribute the payments for those rehearsals. You might have to go to different people's houses for other rehearsals. You have to reserve the concert equipment. There are a lot of logistics involved in planning to be able to get that concert ready, that event ready. Okay. Then you have a backlog. A backlog in a product team. I'm looking for the software product team and translation software and others. You have a suggested list of playlist of songs, and then you vote. The team, the band votes on what they're gonna want to work on, and then they prioritize it and they readjust it. That's a very evolving thing. And that's just the word backlog. Backlog can be just a number of items in your service list of what you have to work on. Here are the translations I have to do today, tomorrow, the next day, my week, my month. There's my backlog, and that all it means is just a list of things and prioritizing and making sure that's done. Well, the same thing in a team. When you're working together in a team and doing the project, you have the same. You have the dependencies, and you're trying to work on those. Each person has their parts of their backlogs they're trying to do and finish up in order to get done for the combined project. Okay, let's go to the next page. Well, then other things that we'd find in an ISO9001 audit of the band would have documents. Okay, now if you've heard that you don't need documents when you're implementing certain types of methodologies, I don't really subscribe to that, because a band has documents, and they can be tabs or scores or poured lead sheets or modified arrangements, whatever we want. Post-its. I use post-its even. Okay, I write down my chords, put them on the post-its on this. Now I got trying to use a computer and different things of having it more up on a screen, but I even use post-its for doing things. If you got to write it down quickly, do it. Look up on the iPhone or the BlackBerry the song stuff, and go ahead and do the song immediately. I mean, this is how it happens. But do you have documents, whatever form they're in? Okay. Then communication. We have communication at the concert event distribution of a team concert calendar, all those things to communicate the event externally and also internally of what we're going to be doing, our logistics of the rehearsal schedule and all that. Okay, and where we need to be, when to do, at what times. Then we're a production schedule. Okay, and a production schedule or cycle. We have sprint rehearsals. This word sprint comes out, agile engineering or agile scrum based, translation. We hear this coming on more and more, and coming from even the team, the customers that want to be going in that way. Well, what is that? Well, we can call it the product development branch, or we can call it the translation phase, if you want to, of TEP. Then we can play together. That's the second level. And that's so we first we're playing at home, okay, individually, and that's the development branch or translation phase, if you want. And then playing together, we're integrating together, an integration branch of the software product, or we can call it the edit phase, kind of looking and getting things working together. And then the final rehearsal run through, because you always got to make sure that you get that pretty much near final rehearsal. You run through the whole thing. That's your final branch of software, or your proof phase, if you want. I want to give some analogies in the translation software and services area. Then you have a pre-event run through again, and then you get some rehearsals, and you get all those project milestones and checkpoints. Go and no go. Did we go and no go on this song, or did we ready for this event? Okay. So those are production cycle aspects. Then we have a review process. The review process means that we record our rehearsals with a camera or iPhone or something, and we put those up on our server, and we watch them at home and comment on them and improve the songs. Okay. Customer feedback. You can get emails, surveys, word of mouth about how the concert went, and then corrective preventative measures. And those words are very specific to ISO9001. And what is that? Well, debrief on the concert, have a debrief, have a post-mortem, whatever you want to call those things, lessons learned, okay? Meeting, and take the info back, improve the rehearsal sessions, and improve on the organizational aspects, and improve the concert, the quality of service, okay, and product. So those are really, if I wanted to audit the band, that's how I do it. And those are all the things I'd look for, okay, in the whole thing. And the question is now, could we take the same thing and come back to you in your context of doing the translation services within a larger project and how that all fits together. Well, now I'm going to take care of the diagram. This kind of picture that came out of the ISO 9000, standard here, and 9001, I'm sorry. And this really is using all the same words that I just used in the band analogy. So we can see that we have customers over here. They have the customers on the left side with the requirements capturing. There's input. Then there's the product realization or services if you want. That gives a product that goes out to customers. And then the customers have customer satisfaction surveys and discussions and everything that comes back in. And then we measure and analyze and improve, and we're going up in that circle here. And those are measurement analysis, and that's testing and all that. And then management responsibility at the top is just making sure that this is all flowing together, that we've got needs that people are being trained for all the needs that need to be specified, that this is just, the wheel is working together, just as we saw, okay? And then we have resource management. So that's the last part of the circle here, and that's just capacity planning. MS project, doing the planning, who's going to be available when, or if you've got some kind of MS project type of software that does that, helps you, or Excel sheets, whatever. But this all is just the same. All this geek talk right here, if I can call it geek talk, that are shown in the manual, is the same thing that we saw a couple minutes ago. It's really not that complicated, okay? So really, and then it's continuous improvement, and that's lessons learned, and we can see that at the top, okay? So what are the first thing here, this slide I'm coming to here, is this is showing usually these are the quality management principles. That this is the first thing that someone shows you when they give you an audit, or learning to be auditor training and all that. And really, I'm bringing it later here because I really want to show you that all of these 8 points really just reflect what we've seen up till now, okay? So there's a customer focus. So how's the customer focus? Well, a band is going to be doing customer focus. They want to focus on their audience. There's leadership. You have leadership and how you're doing that, and how you are leading and deciding what's your goal, objectives, and how you're going to do it, and how you're implementing that. Involvement of people, how you involve in the people, and how you're doing that, and training, and all the work, how they're participating in the entire kind of sequencing of all these blocks being put together. The process approach, what's your process? How are you doing it? The ISO 9000 does not tell you how you have to do something. It just expects you to have something thought through. You plan how you're going to do it. You decide what you're going to do. You do it, and then you come back and check that you did what you said you were going to do. It's really not complicated, okay? You have to have a system approach to management, and that just means that you're not doing ad hoc, chaotic management. Okay, and they're just looking for something coherent. Continual improvement really just means that you're doing your lessons learned, debriefing, going back, re-looking at things that didn't go well and did go well, and trying to make it better. Okay, it's really not complicated. Factual approach to decision making rather than just kind of, well, which way is the wind going? Let's go that way. That there's you can make decisions, document those decisions based on something that has been analyzed clearly, okay? And then mutually beneficial supplier relationships. What does that mean? That's just geek words for, if you're a translation supplier, that you have a good relationship with your translation agency, and if your translation agency is the one being certified, they need to be able to show that they're working closer with you, and that the flow is there, that it's predictable, that we can see that everything has been done in a good way, so that it will provide a good quality final product or service to the final customer. Really not complicated, okay? So, next point really are just some general points here, types of audits. There are 4 different general types of audits that you can go through. Some are called internal audits. That's usually every year you get internally audited by maybe an internal audit specialist in your company. and or maybe that's usually how it happens, or a lot of, and that it cannot be a one time. It can be actually different points of time during the year. Then a supplier audit means that if I'm a company, a translation company that has is certified, I can go ahead and ask for my suppliers, that is maybe in this context, the translation freelancers or other suppliers of other solutions, actually maybe software solutions too, and services to be audited. Now, if they are ISO 9001 certified, then they don't have to go through a separate audit. They just can say that they have been certified ISO 9001 or compliant, and they can use that certification to fulfill the audits of the supplier type audit. Okay, they're customer audits, where a customer will come in and actually audit you. That happens. I've actually been through all four of these. Customer audits will come in, and some customers are more specific than others on points they're looking for. And then certification audits. That's where you go through every 3 years, you go through a certification renewal. First certification audit, and every 3 years is recertification. Okay? But usually all these audits look at the same things. Okay, and what I want to come down to here is some of the things they look for. Well, document and record control. This sounds really dry, really boring, but it's actually not. It's pretty simple. Okay, so what I tell people is keep it simple. Do everything in Notepad or OneNote, Microsoft OneNote, or whatever. No logos. Don't have to. If the auditor tells you that you have to have logos on your meeting minutes, just tell them to go away. That is nothing. There is nothing that tells you have to do that. I have helped certify 2 companies and recertify, and we use Notepad. Okay, just text, plain ASCII text, nothing more. Just simple, easy go through and get the facts. All we have to do, and some of the things, no logos. Now we did maybe on some as we got longer and more, and we wanted to have more information and you can get to that point if you want the logos, but that's not important, okay? What do you want to know? Well, versioning and saving everything on the server with the communicated link to people. Don't use email as your main versioning saving of what you're doing. The auditors do not like you when you're pulling out email, okay? So really, all your meeting minutes and all that, just make sure you put a notepad, document what you've done, title, and here I give some key items for these checks are the title, the current document state, is it released, is it draft, whatever, and just keep it updated. Versioning it, what version 0.1, 0.2, just venture naming how you want to do it and follow it, okay? Just be consistent. Dates, make sure the date's there. Who participated at each stage? Who wrote it? Who reviewed it? Who commented on it? Who decided? Make sure that you have consensus, that everybody decided together. It really don't have to make it too complicated, okay? And then keep drafts of all your versions. And what I suggest is using Microsoft Word and then just, you get the tracking modification thing. It's great. You can see the colors and just show each version done. And here's what was done. And just save each one. Just name the files are easy to open, see what version, and just keep track of that. And most of you, anyways, when you're going between projects, between translators and revisers, reviewers and all that, you're doing this anyways. So it's not really that. Or if you're using maybe some translation memory system that allows you to do color coding, tracking, you're doing this all. Just dump it out, save it, make it available, put it in the server, make sure you can find it, and organize it. Okay, that's all. So that's all it really is about document versioning. It's really not complicated, okay? Another point here is what are the key things that during an audit that an auditor is going to look for? And really there are only a short list of points. And these are what I say are the in scope of an audit. And I usually tell auditors that we're going to stick to this. And we're not going to look for other things, okay? So if things start going down off another trail, or going elsewhere, I just say, these are the things we need to look for, okay? So what are the role and the requirements and the prioritization of them? Remember that band example? And we also saw in that big circle, it's the input, okay? The definition of the project scope, the planning of it. So what are we going to do? What is the project supposed to do? What is the goals? What are the specific things we want to do? Defining with the planning of it, with your timelines, your resources, your tasks, and your quality expectations. The project monitoring, what are your KPI reportings, key performance indicators? What are you trying to do? Say that you're on time and where you are. What's your status reporting? What's your meeting structure? Okay. Just make sure you get meetings and whatever your review meetings, where you're on your project getting done. Okay. Especially when you're working between teams. Sometimes you're individually is one thing, but here I'm talking about as a freelancer when you're working part of a bigger project and you need to be accountable for those different aspects and they want to audit, you be involved in the audit of their auditing process. Communication, where are the meetings, the meeting minutes, the action items, tracking them. It shouldn't be done in email. It should be at least communicated, put up on a server somewhere or something, and just everyone knows where to go to it, find it, and the meeting minutes or whatever, and the meeting schedule and all the action items, they can find them easily and go through it. It's traceable. Product backlog or service production objectives list. So what's your product backlog? What are you doing? What's your objectives of your service production with the translation service you're doing? Where's the list of them and what you're prioritizing and getting through? Okay. See, these are all things we've just talked about a few minutes ago. Really nothing more. What are your spec and design docs? Now in software, we talk about spec and design docs, documents. Maybe in the agile and kind of things we say that we don't have those. What are your backlogs? Where are you defining what you need to be doing at an architectural level for software? But for the translation services, what are your glossaries? What are your style guides? What are your translation? If you're using TEP, translation edit proof, what are the TEP phases of your translations, reviews, minutes of what you're doing, complaints, and the feedback, okay, and feedback between team members. And you don't have to, write up every little detail, but just have it so you can save it and show it, okay? Change management. What are your fix requests and follow-up of them, okay? So customer complaints or internal complaints between the reviewers and the translators, proofreaders, and that. Just how can you show that people have done, there was requests or fixes, requests or changes, there was follow-up to make it happen, okay? And the customer complaints, how they were, translations, how were they followed up and where they were completed, okay? Testing and QA planning and execution status reporting on your testing phase, localization testing and the QA testing and all that, okay? Traceability. Traceability just means that you can trace everything down through the whole system. So if you're doing what you're planning, you want to do this translation, or the glossaries, what items are those going to the glossary items going to the documents, what are you finding testing of it, how do you know you tested that specific variables on a website, and then how the bugs opened up on it were fixed. It's all traceability, okay? What are your test plans for it? What your bugs you fixed, and what were your requirements coming in? It's a workflow, okay? Then you need integration of the project into a larger program, maybe. What are your guidelines, your reporting your reporting kind of requirements, your meetings, your checkpoints, key decision milestones, no-goes. We've seen this all earlier in the example of the band. It really isn't complicated again, okay? And then training. Translators usually want to get trained on the new software they have to use for this, for uploading this, for doing that. So as I've been scheduled in, a lot of auditors, they're looking for how the human resources plan, or the team line managers have actually planned for training for the participants in the different aspects of the project. So how has that been planned and looked at? Okay, so these are some of the things you want to look at along those lines. Okay, so some takeaways here. Really, ISO 9001 is simple. It's really not that complicated. Okay, I think many people have made it more complicated than it needs to be. Secondly, it's just planning what you're going to do it, and come back and check it. It's a very simple thing of requirements capturing, prioritization, planning something, go do it, test it, find the fixes, and let the customers deal with customer complaints. Really, this is what it is. And if you do this with a good common sense, in an organized way, then it will start, your audits usually go pretty well. And that's my experience. So don't try to overcomplicate it, okay? Don't try to do anything more than that you've got, okay? And so hopefully that's, and we'll have maybe some opening for questions here during the chat sessions. Have a good day. Thank you very much for your time.